Did you know that in one of the world's poorest countries, men can secretly marry multiple wives and get away with it? Or that many girls here are married off before 18 and their husbands disappear for years at a time, never to return? Welcome to Tajikistan, where ancient traditions clash with modern poverty, and the line between right and wrong is often blurred. Yet life here is also hard. Once a quiet Soviet republic, Tajikistan is today one of the poorest countries in Central Asia. Its economy was shattered by independence and a civil war in the 1990s. By 2019, GDP per capita was only about $874. Despite some growth, poverty is deeply rooted. Roughly a quarter of the population still lives on $1 or $2 a day. Would you manage on that? Because of this hardship, Tajiks have relied heavily on family abroad. An astonishing half of the country's GDP comes from money sent home by migrant workers. In fact, about 1 to 2 million Tajiks, nearly 1 in 4 people, work overseas, mostly in Russia. Imagine tens of thousands of families counting the clock until the next call from dad or brother abroad. What would you do if your neighbors and friends were leaving en masse for jobs you can't find here? The answer lies in the stories of everyday Tajiks. People as proud as they are struggling. You'll see humble villages that cling to tradition and proud cities pulsing with hope. But before we explore the human side, ask yourself, could you survive here? Stay tuned as we uncover the people behind the headlines. Life of women in Tajikistan. The women of Tajikistan are the backbone of this society. Most girls marry in their late teens or early 20s, usually arranged by their families. After marriage, a young wife moves into her husband's home, often also living with his parents and elder siblings. She works from dawn till dusk, tending animals or the family farm, cooking bread in an oven, fetching water, and caring for children. There's honor in all this, but also huge pressure. Women are expected to obey in-laws, never argue with their husband, and keep the family reputation spotless. Yet many Tajik women face harsh treatment at home. Cases of domestic violence are common, and cultural norms blame women for conflicts. Shockingly, experts note that a higher number of suicides for women than men occurs here, a tragic result of relentless abuse and poverty. In 2024 alone, over 400 women and girls attempted or died by suicide. Could you imagine such despair? Even more heartbreak comes when husbands never return. According to a 2009 study, as many as 230,000 to 288,000 Tajik wives have been abandoned by migrant husbands, left to live below the poverty line. Relatives often expel them from their homes, saying they bring shame. One aid worker bluntly calls this a national tragedy. Abandoned wives, uprooted families, little support. And yet, Tajik women find strength. Some start small businesses or join co-ops to support their kids. Despite tradition saying they should stay home, many learn tailoring, driving, or farming to feed their family. They hold on to hope, whether through prayer, neighborly help, or sheer grit. But how would you cope if your husband left you, perhaps never to return? Secret marriages, tradition versus the law. In a country governed by strict secular laws, marriage can become an elaborate shadow dance. Officially, Tajik law bans polygamy and requires every marriage to be registered with the state. In reality, many marriages occur in the eyes of religion only and vanish from the law books. These nikah weddings, Islamic ceremonies conducted by an imam, are technically informal. They allow people to marry quickly or secretly, but at a price. The rise of unregistered weddings has been dramatic. Even as wedding crowds grew after 1991, fewer couples registered with the government. In fact, the number of state-registered weddings fell by about 60% since Soviet times. Once a couple merely repeats vows under an imam, their union exists outside the law. This sidesteps rules on underage marriage and polygamy, but it also strips wives of legal protections. What does that mean? If a husband abandons such a marriage or dies, the wife has no claim on his property or pension. The marriage never existed to the state, so divorce can happen instantly. Sometimes with a man just saying talaq 3 times, an Islamic divorce formula. For many Tajik women, that means losing their home and rights overnight, with nowhere to turn. Meanwhile, the forbidden practice of polygamy quietly flourishes under religious cover. Surveys suggest about 10% of Tajik men take more than one wife. Under the covers of a mosque, a man can marry a second or third time, even though the law forbids it. a reporter noted that many women in rural areas support the right of men to polygamy, seeing this as their only chance to support themselves. In one village, a man might have a legal wife at home and a secret wife in Russia. Male migration, the Tajik exodus. Across Tajikistan, you can almost feel the lullaby of a distant border calling men away from home. The truth is stark. Tajikistan offers almost no jobs for a young man. Every year, 150,000 to 180,000 extra people enter the job market, far more than the economy can employ. The vast majority of young men, and some women, answer this imbalance by packing bags and crossing borders. Today, about 1 million Tajik citizens, roughly 1/3 of all men aged 20-39, work abroad. Most travel north to Russia, where a Tajik diaspora stretches across factories, construction sites, and markets. In fact, over 90% of Tajik migrants go to Russia, taking seasonal jobs like cabin crew, miners, or cleaning public spaces. Now it's your turn. What surprised you most about life in Tajikistan? Would you accept being a secret second wife for survival, or would you choose to leave? How would you handle weeks without your spouse, or an unregistered marriage that gives you no rights? Share your thoughts below. We want to hear your perspective on this unusual, mysterious corner of the world. Thanks for joining this journey. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this.